What's up, everybody? This is Quet. And in this video, we're going to be talking about destructuring objects and arrays in JavaScript. If you watch my video on objects and classes, you'll remember that I used the characters from community as the subject matter or uh, the people that I use for my examples. And today we're going to continue that. And in this example, we have Jeff Winger. And he has four key value pairs inside of an object. And so what we're going to do is we're going to create four variables that correspond with his keys inside of the object and create new variables based off of his object. So that might sound a little, weird at first, but I'm going to use const, I'm going to use some curly braces, and I'm going to start by typing first name, last name, uh, age, and major, and I'm going to set that equal to student. So this is some of the basic syntax for destructuring inside of JavaScript. So what I've done is I've created four variables here that correspond with these key names, and I'm setting that equal to the student. What that's storing is it's going inside of the student. You can think of that as going to the student object and looking for variables that match keys that match the variable names here, and then assigning these variables the value of the keys. So if you were to console log this, first name should be equal to Jeff, last name Winger, age 44, and major should be law. So now outside of the student dot first name equaling Jeff, we could type just first name and also get Jeff. And I'll go ahead and prove that. Confirm log, what? Okay. We're gonna contour log this. And so in the comments, I've learned a few things. If I actually put parentheses, I'm sorry, curly braces around what I'm gonna contour log, um, yeah, if I put parentheses, I'm sorry, curly braces around what I'm gonna contour log is gonna show like the key value pair of that. So if I come here, we're gonna refresh this. Eventually it'll refresh. Okay, cool. So we see that first name equals Jeff. All of that lines up. If I were to just go ahead and throw everything else just to, show everything is on the up and up, give it a save, come back and refresh. We'll see the first name, last name, age, major, all of it gets contour log with the correct information there. All right, so let me show you guys another example. Let's go ahead and comment this out. I'm going to make four separate variables with those same values that I had before or similar. So I'm going to make a variable called first name, set it equal to Jeff. Notice that I'm using let instead of const because these I plan on these values changing and I can't change the values of basic data types. I can't change the strings and integers or numbers and stuff like that if I'm using const. So last name equals Winger, and here it's going to get a little different because I'm actually going to change the age and major. So I'm going to change the age to 29. I'm going to change the major to AC repair. And if you watch community or you saw my last video, you probably took a guess and realized that the last two variables have data that relate to Troy. And so I'm gonna make a quick uh object here. I'm gonna call this object student. I'm going to put Troy's information here. Okay, so I have this information all typed out now. Add my comment here. So if we look at first name and last name, it has Jeff's information and age and major. Those two variables has Troy's information. So I don't have access to the rest of Jeff's information here, but let's say that I actually wanted to change first name and last name to reflect Troy's information here. I could do that using object destructuring, and the way I do that is by using I'm gonna start off with a parentheses here to get things started. Now, there's a the reason that I'm using the parentheses here is because I'm using sorry, I'm looking through my notes to give you guys the right information, so bear with me. I'm using the parentheses since it's an assignment expression. Um, and so when using object expressions, you need to just wrap it in parentheses. And I have my curly braces here again. First name, last name, and I'm going to set that equal to student. I'm also going to come back and delete this, give this a save, refresh here. Okay, okay, so I got a bit of a weird error there, but that's now fixed, and you can see that I'm contour logging first name and last name on line 26. And if you take a look, that value is now equal to Troy Barnes. So we've effectively changed first name and last name from Jeff Winger to Troy Barnes using object destructuring. Now, so far I've shown you how to change values that have the same name or destructure values that have the same name. But let's say that um, I want to use a different name or something like that, right? So let me just go ahead and start showing the example. If I was to delete this, and let's say that I wanted to make a variable called name and maybe a variable called teachers, right? So let's um let's go back to the Jeff example here since he teaches. And so I want to make a variable called name and a variable called teachers. I'm going to use const and I'm going to use my curly braces. So the same syntax that we saw before. I'm going to use this first name here. Um, but we're not going to assign first name value. We're going to make a variable called name and assign that the value of the first name key value, right? And then we're going to put a comma here. We're going to go to the major key value and we're going to assign that value to the variable teaches. So Jeff was a lawyer and keep the story short, he ended up losing he wasn't really licensed, so he had to go back to school. So he goes to this community college to get his law degree and ends up like just kind of loving the place low key. So he ends up becoming a law teacher. So his major was law and now he teaches law. So I'm making a variable called teaches and setting that equal to law. And if I go ahead and contour log here, the value of name and the value of teaches, we are expecting Jeff and teaches to be the value here. So I mean, law, sorry. So we get Jeff and law, and can actually. There's another trick that I learned also. So I learned a trick with the parenthesis, with the curly braces from a YouTube comment, but I also learned that I can use contour.tables here, refresh. Actually, sorry, that works on objects. So we're gonna contour log and use our curly braces here, save it. Contour.com. Oh wow, what am I writing here? Contour.log and Here we go. So his name is Jeff and teaches is law. So those are two new variables that we made using object destructuring. And since I like introduced it and failed hard, if we do control dot table student refresh, that's the trick that I was trying to teach you that I learned on Twitter after the object in class video went out. So just something a little extra to throw in. So we've gone over most of the things that I want to talk about with destructuring objects. I think I pretty much covered most of it. You can make these new variables based on data that you have from objects, and this really comes in handy if you're doing something like using React at times for even little things. So you can have a React project you're working on. This isn't going to run because I'm not about to import React or anything. But let's say that I have a React component. I have a render. Inside of that render, I have a return. And so I have a component, which is going to call our component. And we're going to assign it props. And we use this dot props dot z, right? Um, Did I mess up? Oh, I need to close this out. Okay, so get out of save. And so now whatever the value of z is getting passed down the components via props. Um, but let's say I don't want to write this dot props. Maybe I don't know. I just don't want to write this whole thing here, and I have three other things that I'm passing down the other components or something. I'm passing down x. I'm passing down y. I mean, why not? Uh, So we have x, we have y, we have z. We're gonna and we just ignore the errors. I'm about to write like a whole fragment and everything. We don't need that. Just the idea is that this will. Oh, actually, it's bothering me. So we're gonna put a div here to kind of just get rid of the red squiggly lines. Okay, so format this. See, this is like my OCD kicking in. And all right, so this looks a lot better now. I'm still getting some type of I messed up, but it's fine. I'll live. So let's say that I actually instead of writing this dot props every time, I don't want to do it. I can use destructuring and I can use something like const x, y, z. So I have these three variables, x, y, and z. They have some type of value that's higher up in the component, and I can set that equal to this dot props. And in doing so, instead of putting this dot props dot x or this dot props dot y and z, I can just delete those and just put the variable names here. And so props is equal to this dot props dot x. And this dot props is put on because of the destructuring that we've done right here. So that's somewhere that this can come in handy, just kind of um, it's just kind of a clean way to write code, and you can use less keystrokes to writing this dot props and just all of the stuff that you would have to do in the past to do this. It just makes it a little bit quicker, a little bit easier to do. And there's also destructuring that you can do with arrays. I know I mentioned it in the beginning of the video, so let me get into that. So we're gonna erase all of this object stuff. And let's say that we have a variable, an array called sounds. So we have our array, and we have moo, mood, no, moo, oink, and cluck. So we have this array of sounds, clearly farm animal sounds. And then I have another array here. And inside of that array, I have three variables: cow, pig, chicken, and I'm gonna set that equal to sounds. So essentially what this is going to do is it's going to look at the first index in this array, and it's going to set its value to the value of the first index in the sounds array, which is moo. Pig is going to be oink, and chicken is going to be cluck. If we console log this, cow, pig, chicken, give that a save, come back over here and refresh. We see that we have the cow value is moo, the pig's value is oink, and the chicken's value is cluck. So a few more things to show you with that is maybe we want to just make a variable for chicken. We want to skip cow and pig. We can erase cow here, erase pig. Oh wait, that's not quite what I want to do. Okay, so I want to erase cow and I want to erase pig, and I just want the sound for chicken. These commas here will skip indexes in an array, so we're skipping index 0 and index 1, which is the moo and the oink, and we just want index 3, which is cluck, and we want to assign the variable chicken, the noise cluck. Well, if we come here, do a refresh, we see that chicken is assigned to cluck, cow and pig don't exist, so there's no point in console logging for those variables there. And that can be, that can come in handy if you want to assign a variable some type of value that's inside of an array. You don't need all of the other indexes in an array. You just want to, assign it a very specific index. You can also use destructuring of objects to maybe grab a couple of sounds. So let's go back and put our cow and our pig back, and we have a couple more sounds here that pop up. We have ba, um, ribbit, uh, quack. I don't know. So those are the other sounds that we have. And I want to just capture all of those other sounds and put them in a variable. I can use the spread operator here and say other sounds. And if we were to console log other sounds, we should get bad ribbit and quack. If I do a refresh here, we see other sounds is an array with three indexes. Those indexes have bar, ribbit, and quack. So that's pretty much everything with destructuring objects and arrays in JavaScript. I've shown you how to take make variables based on key value pairs inside of objects. I've shown you how to make variables with totally different names and assign them a value that's assigned to a key value pair. And I've shown you how to destructure arrays and be able to create variables and assign it a value of other indexes in the variables, and also how to just throw the spread operator in. So hopefully you got something out of this video. If you did, I would greatly appreciate it if you're not a subscriber, if you want to hit and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you would like the video, doing both of those things really helps me get in front of the eyes of other developers and other people that are looking to learn how to code and be able to help them on their coding journey. And I greatly appreciate that. I want nothing more than to be able to help others learn how to code. So with that said, that's going to be all that we have for this video. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next video.